Hi, Senator Kelly. I'm so excited to be here chatting with you in New York City. I
Buy
heard,
some giant ice cream
I
cones.
know, right? Right on the street,
Well,
getting
we have
getting
little,
the
little ice.
ambiance. So I think first and foremost, what I was hoping to chat with you about is we are on the brink of a government shutdown. It seems as though the Republicans are dead set on continuing to govern in the way that they have been at the expense of working folks. Can you talk a little bit about what this is going to do, whether we're going to shut down and what is going to happen to average working class Americans?
What this comes down to, it's a fight for how much people are going to have to pay for their health care. Because what happened months ago was Donald Trump's big bill that kicked people off of Medicaid, and that is raising right now the premiums that they pay on the exchange for their health care coverage. Those numbers are going to go up dramatically, and we're trying to bring them down. But the president said no, he doesn't want that. He's okay with these prices going up. So that's what this fight is over. Now, what can happen here is he could come and talk to us and negotiate something that can help lower costs for American families. He doesn't want to do that right now because he's using some of that money, especially the Medicaid stuff that's downstream a couple of years after 2026 to pay for a big tax cut to the richest Americans. This is another big transfer of wealth from middle class and working class people to millionaires and billionaires.
Is it true when people talk to me about this quote unquote big beautiful bill, which is really a big ugly disaster of a bill, is it true that there is a tax deduction for private jet ownership? That can't be right.
Yeah, I think it made it permanent actually, and maybe extended it a little bit. Yeah, that's actually in there because people who can afford a private jet, the government needed to make it more affordable for them
Truly
on the backs, and people who need food and can't afford to buy food, they get screwed.
Yes, and is the number actually that 17 million Americans are going to get kicked off their health care?
In Arizona, it's 300,000. It is maybe around, I think the number's above 10 million. I don't know if it's exactly 17 million. It's millions of people will lose Medicaid coverage. These are poor people that can't afford to pay for health care. But for people who pay for it themselves, their costs are going to go up. That's what this immediate fight is about.
So is there going to be a shutdown in your opinion? Do you think, I know people sometimes feel as though they want the Democrats to force a shutdown because they want to see this fight. They want to see people fighting for them. Would a shutdown be good for people? Would it accomplish anything? What is your feeling?
Well, it's easily avoidable. President comes to talk to us, negotiate something where we can do something to help Americans pay for their health care, and we don't have to shut the government down. It's pretty simple.
Well, fingers crossed that we can save healthcare for so many people, make it continue to be affordable, because I really worry about the state of our country right
Yeah, me too.
now.
Very worried,
Yeah, no
especially
kidding.
right now,
No kidding. No
for a
kidding.
lot of reasons.
For so many reasons. So something else I saw that you put out recently, which was you just recently released a AI, what are you
Yes.
calling it? A plan, a
The white
proposal,
paper,
the white paper on AI.
which turned into, after a while and a lot of input, legislation.
So I think it's so interesting. And I try to talk to folks about this who are concerned about AI, that there are some positives and some negatives when it comes to AI. First of all, people worry a lot about losing their jobs to AI.
Me too.
Is that part of your white paper? Is that something that you think could be legislated at
That's
some point?
that's a big part of the point in doing this, is we need to get ahead of what could be a big problem, which is millions of people by 2030 losing their jobs and not having another option. We cannot allow that to happen.
So is there a way in which we can fight back against that and make sure that people both can use AI in ways that are positive, but also help to make sure that people remain employed?
Hey, American innovation is the best in the world. And this could be a huge win for our country. We can grow the economy. We can create more jobs. But if we create more jobs, we're going to have to train people who lost their job because of AI. We're going to have to train them for these new jobs of the future. To do that, we need resources. And I don't think this could be just put on the American taxpayer to pay for. It should be the companies that are benefiting from AI and the companies that are creating AI to contribute. So I have a fund. They would contribute to this fund to help retrain people through programs at community colleges, through union apprenticeships programs, through universities, to train them for new jobs. Maybe somebody in their mid-career loses their job. and they can be trained to do something else. It should be a partnership between private industry and government to figure out how to pay for this. And then there's the infrastructure, water and energy. Data centers are huge users of energy. We're talking about potentially 12% of the American electricity generated in 2030 is going to have to go to run these AI data centers. Somebody's got to pay for that infrastructure as well. Why not it be a public-private partnership to do that?
Yeah, that sounds so important. And I think making sure people are aware both that AI can benefit folks, but also it scares people. And I do a lot of warning people about digital surveillance and about the ways in which the government is surveilling you through artificial intelligence. Your conversations with ChatGPT could be turned over to the cops. A lot about that. And is there anything in your plan that is security based? I know that you have obviously a naval background. So what is it that we can tell people to assuage their concerns about safety and security and digital privacy when it comes to AI?
I can tell you it's going to be an issue, right? It's going to be an issue for young people. It's going to be an issue for people, seniors especially, who could be scammed from AI. So we just have to be thoughtful about it. And I think there needs to be some guardrails, and we need to think about the nefarious uses and try to get ahead of it. If we just kind of wait and just stumble along and allow this happen with no guardrails, no thought up front, I think we'll find ourselves in a place that we're going to wish we hadn't gotten to. So we've got to come up with like a plan. What do we want this country to look like in 10, 20, 30 years from now? And then start that today.
Okay, one more thing I really want to talk about. You know a lot about this AI stuff and data centers. Are you buying stock in data center companies? Given the growth of data center, this is not advice. I am not a financial advisor.
For other people, not for me.
And why is that? Why don't you do that?
Because in this job in the United States Senate, members of the House of Representatives as well, we get a lot of information that the general public doesn't get. It's not technically insider trading, but I will tell you this, it's wrong and it's not fair. So members of Congress should not trade stocks. A lot of them do. I don't. I have a blind trust. Stock trading should be prohibited for members of Congress. I have legislation with Jon Ossoff to do just that. So John and I were committed to this. By the way, he is running for re-election in Georgia. Need to make sure he gets reelected so we can get this legislation across the finish line.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's incredibly important that if you decide to have a career where you are working in Congress or in the Senate, that you make a decision that you are not going to trade stocks, because while it's not illegal, it certainly seems pretty dishonest
it's unethical.
It seems unethical.
And I hope that the occupant of the White House can take a lesson from what some of us are trying to do here in the United States Senate.
Well, talking about personally enriching themselves, I mean, the president has increased his personal wealth by, I want to say, billions of dollars.
I think it's $5 billion in 8.5 months.
$5 billion in not even 9 months. That is a level of corruption I don't think we've ever seen in this country.
It's probably thousands of times more than the increase in wealth. It has to be than all the other presidents combined in that period of time.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling, because you see the way his popularity is tanking on basically every issue. And you're like, why is he doing these things? Why is he doing these things? And then you see the chart of his personal net worth, and it's just steadily growing.
His stable coin, his Bitcoin, his...
Yep.
I'm not going to say it here. I will tell you but the thing I just heard today is nuts.
Oh, God. I don't even know if I want to know. It's truly...
You do. It'll come out eventually.
Yeah, wow. The ways in which he's enriching himself and his family and the level of corruption. Speaking of corruption, we just heard a reporting of Tom Homan, the quote-unquote border czar, literally taking a bribe.
$1 in a bag is what I heard reported by, I think was it the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal? Yeah, it should be investigated. It sounds like it was investigated and then squashed by the administration, which is really unfortunate. But when you see what this administration has done, but I'm concerned. I mean, he's in a very high-level government position.
It's extremely concerning. A lot of people in high-level government positions, not to mention our HHS secretary, who's making up lies about Tylenol and
not supported by data, as far as I could tell.
Correct.
You either got to believe in science, which is generally recommended. Science doesn't care if you don't believe in it. Things are still going to move in that direction. You can't be making up stuff about Tylenol without the data to back it. I haven't seen any legitimate study that would indicate that that's a problem. Maybe there's one out there. President should present it to the Americans.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't agree more. I mean, I feel like it would be
Just
malpractice,
not to bring something up.
to get to have a conversation with you and not talk about what's going on in this country. The fact that someone who was out there speaking publicly, speaking their mind on a university campus was assassinated, that your wife Gabby went through something extremely similar. How can we prevent this from happening to anyone else ever again in the
Well, it's a horrible thing what happened to Charlie Kirk and his family. I mean, this affects his kids for the rest of their lives, and his wife and his friends and family. It was a horrible thing. I did not agree with Charlie Kirk on much, probably almost nothing. But I did agree that he had the right to be there and he had the right to discuss these issues. And he also gave people a platform to debate with him, which is a positive thing. You know, he would debate people and talk about issues that he thought were important. That's a good thing. I would defend and go to war for his right to do that. It's in the Constitution. I mean, what can we do? We've got to figure out a way out of this. We've become more political and polarized than we ever have been in our lifetimes. You know, I've got some ideas. I'm working with some of my Republican colleagues to try to figure out a way out of this mess. It does not help that the leader of our country looks for opportunities like this to divide us. Every other president would use something like this to try to bring our country together. It's not the instinct of the president of the United States. I wish he would change. I'm not holding my breath about that. But there are other people out there. I mean, there's Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate and governors that know that the right path forward is unity, that we're stronger as a nation together than we are divided.
Well, fingers crossed that there is some path forward.
There is. There's always a way out.
I hope so. Things feel dark these days, and I was just.
They do feel dark. My predecessor in my Senate seat, John McCain, who was a hero of mine, who I really looked up to, he used to say, "Things are darkest before they go totally black," which is not optimistic.
I was going to say, are you going to say before the dawn? But no.
Those are John McCain's words, something like that.
All right.
We'll get out of this. I'm confident.
I hope so. And we're lucky to have you fighting for us.
Thank you.
Appreciate you and everything you're doing, and keep up the fight.
Thank you.
And so let people know, what's the one thing that you would want folks to know that they can do, how they can make their voices heard? What's the most important thing?
The most important thing is stay involved. It would be helpful maybe to put down the phone and not doom scroll so much, because that tends to divide us. Have real conversations with real people. Stay involved. Vote. Voting is so important, and getting other people to vote. And vote on the issues. Vote on what you think is good for you.
Exactly.
If you keep it simple, I think we'll get back on track.
I hope so. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks.